Hope everybody's doing well. Happy Monday morning. It's still morning here on the East Coast. And yesterday was an incredible day. As you see the title, The Billion Soul Harvest has begun. I shared that in our church service and felt literally like lightning hit me. And I went to my knees. It was a word of the Lord moment, and that was in our Sunday morning service. And of course, if you watch Charlie Kirk's funeral, memorial, or as Secretary of War Pete Hegseth said, Charlie's church service, Charlie's church, welcome to Charlie's church, 100,000 or so. They're one of the largest gatherings. I mean, we're talking a Super Bowl size gathering and bigger, because there were people outside. There were vigils all over the world. But at the end of the service yesterday, one of the people in our congregation came up to me and mentioned a couple of things that, and I don't look for the prophetic in every timestamp, every license plate. Numerology can get dangerous, and everything has to be balanced. And I certainly want to warn you, encourage you to guard against conspiracy theories. Listen, I know everything that the government has told us, going back to JFK and on. JFK assassination started really the modern conspiracy theory movement. And of course, things don't make sense that happened on 9/11. I agree. There are things that don't make sense, but I also generally accept a large majority of situations, just because not everything is a con job. Some things actually do happen. It's kind of like, the one man said, just wait until conspiracy theorists discover they're part of a conspiracy to use conspiracy theorists to spread disinformation via conspiracy theories. That's a mouthful. But I just thought I would share this with you because, yes, the billion soul harvest that's been prophesied about, it has begun. It has begun. And I was talking with a friend this morning further about this Charlie Kirk thing and the symbolism of it. And I thought I'd just share a few small things with you that might encourage you. First off, we all can agree, if you're a Christian, when have you ever seen the federal government, the executive branch, pretty much get up and have a spirit-filled church service, not in an arena, a stadium where an NFL team plays, people raising their hands, worshiping God, praise and worship music going on, as well as, not to mention the Kim Clement prophecy about, in the middle of the restoration of the president that he prophesied, Trump will be a trumpet. He said there'll be a woman with big eyes who will, after a time of painful mourning and sadness, pour the oil of joy on the nation, and people will say, "It is well with my soul." Now, Kim prophesied that in 2011. I wasn't there. You've seen the clips. You can find it. It very well could be what we saw last night as we saw Erica Kirk look at millions of people, hundreds of millions all over the world, not just there, say to the assassin of her husband, "I forgive you." Because she actually understood the gospel, which, Jesus said to the thief on the cross today, you'll be with me in paradise. Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they're doing. And one of Charlie's missions was to go after young men. That's why in the last presidential election, we had the largest demographic shift of young men, young ladies as well, but more so young men, that switched from left to right, and largely in part due to Charlie and touring campuses, colleges, and just wanting to have a conversation without getting violent. Did you notice when he was assassinated, streets weren't being burned down, businesses weren't being destroyed? That one side, that happens on one side, is where that usually happens, that group. But he went after young men because a lot of young men without aim, they are angry, they're bitter, they're mad, and so he encouraged, get married, start a family, find the joy and the beauty in this world. And a lot of people thought of him as a political person, but we actually saw yesterday he was really a Christian. The political connected with the Christianity because liberty, which is the basis of America, liberty and justice for all, liberty is the path to Christ, and that was also said yesterday. And so, as I posted on social media, the biggest losers yesterday were social pastors that preach the so-called social gospel. And what I mean by that is this, that you can't not address an issue simply because it falls on one side of the political aisle. For instance, marriage, abortion, pro-life, gender ideology, a lot of those type of things. I said every social gospel preacher or pastor who refuses to address issues simply because they touch political lines lost ground yesterday at Charlie Kirk's memorial, because as was said, the path to liberty is the path to Christ. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. And there's no doubt there's vitriol in politics, and there's no doubt there are things that for instance, President Trump, who I've been a supporter of. I voted for him 3 times. I'm just telling you. But, he said, I can't forgive the man who assassinated Charlie. But once again, Romans 13, Paul addresses that civil governments are put in place for evildoers to fear. If they do evil or commit crime, civil governments are ministers of God's justice. So you can't separate Christianity from politics. People are trying to do it, and they end up being this middle-of-the-road preacher, and people, is he left, is he right? Because everything nowadays has fallen into a political spectrum. Everything has. Any subject that you bring up has and does. And I understand the Beatitudes. I understand, Charlie advocated for conversation without violence, and he brought a turning point to the USA with his conversations when he gave a microphone to people who disagreed with him in front of 2,000 or 3,000 people on a college campus and say, prove me wrong. Let's talk about it respectfully. A lot of times people when they lose the argument, and usually you can tell when someone's losing an argument because they immediately turn to personal insults. It leaves the arena of ideas and resorts to personal attack and personal insults when they're losing. And when that would happen, he would usually laugh it off and the next person would come up. But he got a lot to people thinking about common sense, and common sense, unfortunately, isn't so common. But here's what I want to share with you. I hope that you went back to church yesterday, back to church Sunday. We had a great service. I encourage you to watch it on this platform you're watching on now, on our YouTube channel, Friends of the Bridegroom, or this public Facebook page. The service was impactful. The first 45 minutes is pre-service prayer, then worship starts at 10:30, then the preaching, and the supernatural is there. I encourage you to watch the service. But check this out. The name Charlie means free man. Likewise, the surname of his wife, her maiden name, and I'm going to butcher this, and I'm not doing it intentionally, and so please forgive me for not pronouncing it right, but Francois, I believe, her maiden name also means free man. I think that's interesting. The surname, or Charlie's name, and Erica's married name, is Kirk, which is the old word, Scottish word for church, which is why you saw one of the reasons at the beginning of the funeral, the bagpipes playing Amazing Grace. The name Kirk means church. You were watching, millions watched Charlie's church service. So free man, church. Okay? The surname Kirk is the old word for church. Charlie's death on September 10th, 2025, completed 24 full years since 9/11. 24 full years since 9/11. 24 in the Bible is the number for priesthood. Under the law, and that's why Jesus' ministry, he fulfilled the law. He didn't start his ministry till he was 30. Charlie was 31. He died at 31. He was born in 1993, died in 2025. He was still 31. And as we've all seen the last couple of weeks, his age, 31, it's been everywhere. Articles, news posts, media posts. It's almost like, as my friend said, Charlie Kirk, 31 years old, it's like screaming, look at this, notice this, pay attention to this, he's 31. Now, why that's significant is 31 in the Bible is the number for the meaning for offspring, or children, or posterity. So part of the rebirth of America prophecy, which ended in July, granted, has to do with the billion soul harvest. It has to do with the number of souls that will be coming to Jesus as a result of the death of the offspring, 31, of the free man church into the spiritual Son of God. The free man church died to produce many offspring, sons and daughters of God. And the number 31 means that very thing. Charlie's middle name was James, which is the sign of Jacob or Israel. James is a derivative of Jacob. And so here you see free church, Israel, offspring. Free man, church, offspring. Billion soul harvest has begun. And so, while not all of the questions are answered, they probably never will be. One thing is for certain: Charlie got what he wanted. He started a revival. More people heard the gospel of Jesus Christ yesterday presented on the largest platform in a 5-hour period of time, probably than any other time in human history in a 5-hour period. Every member of the Trump administration, I'm talking from Don Jr., Pete Hegseth. I know Don Jr.'s not, in the administration, but even I was so blessed hearing RFK Jr. what he said when he said he talked to his mother about when his brother died a few years ago, and the hole that leaves in her heart, and how his mother replied by saying, "Nothing fills the hole or takes their place, but you grow as a person, and as you enlarge your love, and you enlarge your care and concern for others, it helps deal with the missing people." I want you to think about it. More people heard the gospel of Jesus Christ yesterday than I would venture to say ever on a Sunday. And across denominational lines, the name of Jesus was said more times, or is at least as many times as Charlie's. Because Charlie was an evangelist. He was a martyr. He's an American success story. He is a true American success story, and I honor his life. And I am so excited to see what this next bit of time, as we go in from 25 into 2026, the spring and the fall feasts, the signs in the heavens are going to point to a new era has truly begun, and it has begun. It has begun. The Lion of the tribe of Judah is roaring through the Lamb of God, the lion-like Lamb. I am excited. I hope you are too. It was a good day yesterday. We mourn his loss, and I'm praying for his family. But more people are listening to him. He, as it was said, a tyrant dies and loses power. A martyr dies and they're immortalized. God bless Charlie and Erica Kirk.